Well, where does our next film fall in that spectrum, Scott? Blood Quantum sounds like it ought to be a horror movie.
Yes, Blood Quantum is certainly a zombie film, and that may be as much as you need to hear about it, either to add it or exclude it from your watch list, but I suppose I'm due a little more information to you, so here we go. On a First Nations reserve, the local sheriff of the Red Crow tribe, Trailer, Michael Greyeyes, stoically does the rounds, even managing not to seem too perturbed when the gutted fish his father's caught spring back to life and start flopping around. To be fair, he's distracted by a call to pick up his sons, Forrest Goodluck's Joseph and local bad influence Kiowa Gordon's Lysol from the nearest town. There, the all too familiar, to an audience at least, start of a zombie outbreak happens. Smash cut to 6 months later, where a strange twist of fate has made the Red Crows immune to zombification. Take that, smallpox. The reservation, which is on an island, provides a defensible base for them to hold, while scavenging for resources to help themselves and any non-shambling refugees from the mainland. This, however, rankles Lysol, who'd rather not add any more mouths to feed, and his resolve to do something about it, and the chaos that this unleashes, provides the main narrative reason for the continued ripping apart and chewing of people, which is not something that their antibodies can do much about. Now, it's not all zombie action. In fact, like most of the better horror films, the central planks of it are barely about zombies at all, with the bulk of the emotional work of the film coming from Trailer and his ex-wife, Ellie Maya Tailfeathers, as Joss, wondering if they've been suitable parents to their kids, just as Joseph struggles with his impending fatherhood in a suddenly very different world. That said, it's not doing anything that you've not seen before, and some of the actions Lysol takes seems mainly in the interest of making a plot happen, rather than anything believably driven from his character. But, well, find me a horror film where character motivations aren't a problem, and I will award you a special prize. Blood Quantum does win a few representation points for its setting and its stars, although I'm not convinced that it's doing very much with that. While clearly the title and the inverse viral resistance thing points to a First Nations and narrative and Native American history, it's window dressing, the same way that Being Shot in a Mall is window dressing in Dawn of the Dead, not a treatise on consumerism. Really, Blood Quantum's main problem is external. I imagine there's many people like us who've sat through quite enough zombie movies and television series over the past, 20 years, and aren't quite ready for a resurgence in them yet. But begrudgingly, between some commendable, if perhaps a touch too restrained performances, and some pleasingly gross effects work, and also a sword-wielding, ass-kicking grandpa, if you're in the market for a zombie film, this is actually a pretty good option. I think I am still not quite my expiration date for the amount of zombie films that came out over the past, round about the late 90s to 2000s, going up all the way through to the kind of Walking Days and all that stuff. I just feel like I've seen more than enough zombie films for the foreseeable future. So I couldn't get all that invested in Blood Quantum, but I don't really have any great complaints about it. It's well executed. The effects work's done well enough. It's not all just sort of random zombie actions. There's enough characterization there to keep things moving, to keep you invested in the characters. It is a good zombie film. I think whether you can get excited about that will really just depend on how you feel about zombie films in this day and age. Personally, I've seen enough of them. I don't necessarily need to see any more. But even with that immense handicap, I didn't hate Blood Quantum. So, yeah. If you're in the market for that kind of thing, I think I would actually recommend it. I'd just say give this one a go. But like I say, if you think you've seen enough of them, you probably have. It's not adding anything new to the genre, but if you're in the market for more of it, this is certainly more of it.
The sad thing about the surplus of zombie movies and zombie-themed media that we find ourselves among is that I've never felt the compulsion, because I'm so sickened by it, or sickened with it, not sickened by it. I'm not morally outraged. I am so kind of worn out with it all that I've never really felt the compulsion to go back to the likes of 28 Days Later, which is, if I recall, is probably where this all kicked off again, because it reinvented zombies. And that was early 2000s?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, thereabouts. And I remember that being a really good movie, but I just can't kind of bring myself to go back. There's just so much crap to wade through that is zombie-themed now that it's kind of lost all meaning, in the same way that if you say a word over and over and over, it just loses all meaning and just becomes sounds. Yes. So yeah. I don't think I'll be going out of my way to check this bad boy out.
Yeah, for what it's worth, we did a zombie episode a while back where we did go back to 28 Days Later, and it does hold up. I would certainly recommend you giving that again if you can spare the time or the inclination for it.
I might do that.